Hey folks, welcome to Moxie Compass. Today we're going to explore the vibrant coastal jewel that is Mombasa, Kenya. We're going to learn the history, what made it what it is today, and some ideas of things that you can do if you happen to have the opportunity to go and visit. I would love to hear in the comments section if any of you have visited Mombasa, Kenya, what your experience was like, and any tips you might have for other travelers. So we'll begin way back in ancient times when it was inhabited by Swahili people. The Swahili people and language have complex origins that are deeply intertwined with the history of East Africa and the Indian Ocean region. The Swahili people primarily inhabit the Swahili coast. The origins of the Swahili people are a result of interactions between Bantu-speaking communities along the East African coast and traders, travelers, and settlers from various regions including Arabia, Persia, India, and other parts of Africa. The Swahili coast stretches along the eastern coast of Africa from southern Somalia to northern Mozambique. This region includes present-day Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, and parts of Somalia, Comoros, and Madagascar. The earliest known outside influence came around the 8th century AD with the Arabic merchants who brought Islam to the region and introduced Arabic vocabulary, religion, architecture, and customs, which became integrated into Swahili society. They played a significant role in shaping the Swahili culture and establishing Mombasa as a trading hub. Some of the goods being exchanged were ivory, gold, spices, and unfortunately, slaves. Then, in 1498, the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama arrived on the East African coast during his voyage to find a sea trade route to India. His arrival at Mombasa marked the first direct European contact with the Swahili coast. Initially, the Portuguese sought to establish friendly relations and trade agreements with the Swahili city-states along the coast, including Mombasa. They were particularly interested in gaining access to the lucrative spice trade of the Indian Ocean. In 1593, the Portuguese built Fort Jesus in Mombasa as a strategic outpost to protect their interests in the region. The fort was designed to defend against attacks by rival European powers and local African rulers. The Portuguese sought to exert control over Mombasa and the surrounding coastal areas, leading to conflicts with local Swahili rulers and the Ottoman Empire, which also had interests in the region. Despite facing resistance, the Portuguese managed to establish a foothold in Mombasa and exerted influence over trade networks in the Indian Ocean. They controlled key ports and monopolized the spice trade, exporting goods such as cloves, pepper, and ivory to Europe. By the late 17th century, the Portuguese presence in Mombasa began to decline due to internal conflicts, economic challenges, and increasing resistance from local Swahili rulers. In 1698, Mombasa was conquered by the Sultanate of Oman, ending Portuguese rule in the region. Mombasa came under the rule of the Sultanate of Oman in the 18th century. Under Omani rule, Mombasa continued to thrive as a center of trade and became an important hub for the slave trade in East Africa. As can be expected, in the late 19th century, the British East India Company gained control over Mombasa, and later it became part of British East Africa. The British built the Kenya-Uganda Railway, also mentioned in the History of Nairobi video, which you can find on the Moxie Compass channel, which connected Mombasa to Lake Victoria, further enhancing its importance as a port city. In 1963, Kenya finally gained its independence from other rulers, including the British colonialists, and Mombasa became part of the newly independent nation. Since then, the city has experienced rapid urbanization and economic growth, with its port remaining a vital gateway for trade in East Africa. Today, Mombasa is a bustling cosmopolitan city with a diverse population and a blend of cultures. Its economy is driven by tourism, trade, and the port industry. Mombasa's historical landmarks, such as Fort Jesus and the Old Town, along with its beautiful beaches, attract visitors from all over the world. Throughout its history, Mombasa has been a melting pot of cultures and a center of trade and commerce on the East African coast, leaving a legacy that continues to shape the city's identity today. Mombasa offers a diverse range of activities and attractions for all visitors to enjoy. So here are some things you can do if you happen to be visiting Mombasa. Fort Jesus. Fort Jesus is a UNESCO World Heritage Site built by the Portuguese, as mentioned before, in the 16th century. You can explore the fort's museum, which showcases Mombasa's history and maritime heritage. Old Town. You can wander through Mombasa's charming Old Town with its narrow streets, ancient buildings, and Swahili architecture. You can admire the intricately carved doors and visit local shops selling crafts, spices, and souvenirs. The beaches. You can enjoy the beautiful beaches of Mombasa, such as Diani Beach, Nyali Beach, and Bamburi Beach. Relax on the white sands, swim in the turquoise waters, or try water sports like snorkeling, diving, and kite surfing. Holler Park. Holler Park, which is a conservation area where you can see a variety of wildlife, including giraffes, hippos, and crocodiles. You can take a guided tour or walk along the nature trails to learn about the park's conservation efforts. Dhow Cruise. You can experience a traditional dhow cruise along Mombasa's coastline, enjoying stunning views of the city skyline and the Indian Ocean while dining on fresh seafood and watching the sunset. You can also go on a safari adventure to nearby national parks and reserves such as Tsavo East National Park and Shimba Hills National Preserve. You can spot a variety of wildlife, including elephants, lions, buffaloes, and many more in their natural habitat. Mombasa Marine National Park. You can explore the underwater world of Mombasa Marine National Park, located near Fort Jesus. This is an opportunity to go snorkeling or scuba diving to discover colorful coral reefs, tropical fish, and other marine life. And you definitely want to take in some Swahili culture while you're there. You can immerse yourself in the Swahili culture by attending cultural performances, visiting local markets, and trying Swahili cuisine at traditional restaurants. Support the locals. And for those of you wanting to bring some gifts home, you can shop for local crafts, textiles, artwork, and souvenirs at markets such as Maasai Market and Bombolulu Workshops and Cultural Center. Please be considerate and respectful when bargaining with vendors for unique treasures to take home. And last but not least, relish the coastal cuisine. You can indulge in delicious coastal cuisine featuring fresh seafood, coconut-infused dishes, spicy curries, and Swahili specialties like biryani and pilau. Well, folks, I hope that you enjoyed learning some history of Mombasa and that you feel inspired to take a visit one day. If you have visited, please let me know in the comments and share any tips you may have for future travelers. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.